Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.
Well, environmental considerations have caused us to look at alternative ways to live our lives, including the type of food products which we eat. Therefore, vegan and plant-based products have become increasingly popular, much to the delight of my next guest, Aisling Cullen from Thanks Plants. Aisling, we'll be discussing Thanks Plants and the recent investment which the business has secured. But first, I'd like to get an insight into your own background.
Good morning, Carl. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so my main background is in retail property. So I've been working on shopping centre development really for the past 17 years. Based in Dublin, first of all, working on the pre-leasing of Dundrum Town Centre. Then I went off to London and I was based there for 6 years working on some major developments such as Manchester Arndale, Canary Wharf Retail. And then once the recession hit, I made my way over to Malaysia and was working on a number of shopping malls there, either failing shopping malls that needed a new lease of life or greenfield sites that had no shopping centre on them, and just bringing in tenants, working on the leasing and, signing major deals with retailers like H&M, Nike, Victoria's Secrets. But also, I always had a love of food, and when I was working in the retail property industry, I loved doing deals with the F&B, the food and beverage retailers. So that really kind of sparked my interest in the industry. And while in Malaysia, I opened a cafe there, kind of a trendy coffee shop.
And before we discuss your time in Malaysia, I'd just like to get your own insight into the future of the shopping centre here in Ireland. What's your outlook for it?
Yeah, well, it's when you look at shopping centres, there's very little deals being done with fashion retailers now. And the fashion retailers that are dominating the industry are the likes of H&M, Zara, Marks and Spencer's, and maybe Next. They're the main clothing retailers that everyone's going to. There's no longer the smaller fashion retailers there. So shopping centres have become a lot more experiential, putting in restaurants or beauticians, services like that. Or specialist stores. So it is kind of a different type of shopping centre that we'll get because of the rise of online shopping as well.
So talk to us about your experience of opening a trendy coffee house in Malaysia.
Well, I guess when it came to Malaysia, it's very much influenced by Western culture. So you do have a big influence from Australia, but also from the UK, it being a place of a former UK colony. So when we went in to do the concept, I didn't really kind of delve into, what the preferences of Malaysians were. So on a broad level, I kept it very Western, and people from Malaysia really kind of clung to that. They really loved that idea.
So when you came back to Ireland, you said about establishing Thanks Plants. Where did the idea for that come from?
As a vegan, I was buying meat substitutes. My other half, he's not vegan. So when I was bringing them home, he was looking at the back of the packs and looking at the ingredients, methyl cellulose, sodium alginate, and he was like, this doesn't look right. I'm not going to eat this, and we're not giving this to our kids. So I decided I'd make my own meats at home, and I put in just really great ingredients, and that was kind of how Thanks Plants was born.
So what are the main ingredients that you're using today?
So we use a similar base for all of our ingredients. We put in cannellini beans, pearl barley, vegetables and spices. But what gives it that meaty texture is a flour called vital wheat gluten. Now, this is basically your regular flour with the starch washed off. And it was discovered by Chinese Buddhist monks centuries ago. So it's very much kind of an East meets West technology. And I think, that's what makes us different from other brands on the shelves. Insofar as, maybe if you get your vegetable sausage or your vegetable burger, it's a little bit mushy, and although it's healthy, you don't get that meaty bite. But then you see the more meat kind of substitutes that are out there that are trying to mimic meat so as closely as possible. So we're somewhere in between. We have that meaty bite, but we're packed full of great ingredients.
So provide us with an insight into the product range today, and who developed the recipes?
It was actually myself that did the recipe. So it started off with a few YouTube videos at home, like just copying of what they were doing out there. And it is actually very time consuming and laboursome to make your own meats at home. So, I kind of thought, well, if this was made easier for people at home to just go into the shops and buy these, seitan, which is what the flour is also known as, seitan-based products, I thought that there could be a good business idea there.
So you've been successful in placing the Thanks Plants brand on the shelves of household retailers such as SuperValu and Tesco. What was involved in securing these supermarkets as stockists?
So with SuperValu, we were part of the Food Academy, and this is really what introduced me to doing the range. So I was hell-bent on opening a restaurant here in Dublin, and thank goodness I didn't, because it was just before COVID. And I think, I really would have struggled to keep going if I opened literally that March when everybody had closed down. So I decided probably the December before there was an ad up or something to join the Food Academy. And this is a SuperValu sponsored program. So I joined in the Food Academy, learned about the industry, and it really opened my mind to the whole FMCG market, the fast-moving consumer goods. And we now have about 7 products in our range on the shelves. We have different flavoured sausages, apple and sage, sun-dried tomato, frankfurter. We've got a chipotle salsa, a special collaboration with Cali Cali sauces. We just launched our No Moo burger last week. And we also have an everyday roast, which is a great kind of Sunday roast meal alternative. And then in September, we'll be launching our deli slices.
In terms of targets, do you feel pressure to sell large volumes of units to ensure that you retain these listings with the supermarkets?
Yeah, absolutely. You should be reaching a certain rate of sale every week. With SuperValu, they are, very supportive, as is Tesco, that we are, selling a strong number each week. But in order to keep our business going as well, it's a volume game. We really do have tight margins on all of our products. So we have to sell huge volumes in order to make it profitable.
We are currently, of course, in the midst of a green wave. So have you noticed an increased demand for your products recently?
Yeah, well, I think, in terms of vegans, it's about 4%. Vegetarians is about another 10%. But then you've got a good 16% who would consider themselves flexitarians. So these are people who are actively reducing their meat intake, and they realise that for environmental reasons, we really can't keep on eating meat in the volumes that we're eating. So, they would be a good percentage of my market, people that, just want to make changes here and there to their diet. Also for health reasons, to reduce their meat intake. But this is really how things are going, that people are just, so aware that they need to reduce meat, and that's having a really positive impact on our business.
And what would you like to say to people listening this morning that have never considered trying vegan because they think that maybe they're going to sacrifice the taste as a result?
I think anybody who has introduced more plants into their diet and reduced their meat intake, none of them regret it. I mean, they all love the way of eating, and they all, reap the health benefits from it. So, for your listeners, if they haven't tried it before, I'd say really just keep an open mind, and try new products out there, or just try and reduce your meat intake. Like if you're having, say, a spaghetti bolognese, do half beef, half lentils, and see how you get on there. And then, slowly reduce the amount of overall meat that you take in your diet.
And Aisling, Thanks Plants recently secured a €400,000 investment from Redesdale Food Fund. How critical will this investment be for achieving continued growth with the business?
Oh, it's absolutely critical. I mean, up until very recently, it was just myself running the business. And even until Christmas, it was myself making the products in the kitchen as well. So we've now been able to hire a team. We're hiring more key managers. And this is really critical, that I don't have to concentrate on all aspects, that I can bring people that are specialists in their field to really grow the business further.
And Rose Hines, who currently chairs the board of the Irish Aviation Authority and Origin Enterprises, has joined the board of Thanks Plants. What knowledge and experience can Rose share with you to benefit the business?
Rose is just a super smart lady, and she just keeps me on my toes. She has come across all of the problems that every business has, and she says that all of the answers are very much, the same, no matter what your business is. So I expect that Rose will be able to really, guide us on the right path in being able to make Thanks Plants successful.
And finally, Aisling, what are your growth targets for Thanks Plants over the coming years, and does it include international expansion?
Yeah, we're looking to go into the UK for next year. But we'd like to become very much a household name in Ireland before we do that. I mean, at the moment, we're probably in about 180 supermarkets here in Ireland. But in order to really penetrate the market, we should be in about 350 plus stores. So that's something that we have to crack right now, as well as extending our range. I think the more products that we have on the shelves, the more we stand out, and people will get to know our brand. But yeah, absolutely. When we approached the design of Thanks Plants, and if you look at the brand, you can see it on the website at thanksplants.co or on our Instagram. You can see that the brand is very strong, very bright, very colourful, very whimsical. We have this little sausage dog character called Sid, and he's trying to escape becoming a sausage himself. So there's various scenarios where people are holding out hot dog buns and trying to catch this dog Sid to go into the bun itself. So whenever people see Thanks Plants on the shelves, it does make them smile and really makes them receptive to the brand.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Aisling Cullen from Thanks Plants, and I'd like to wish Aisling every success in reaching her growth goals for the business.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.